got a lot of questions for you guys. Now, again, you guys, you can watch the show right now live. All you have to do is give me your website.
It's floridacashhomebuyers.com.
You go there right now, and all you have to do is you've got two screens up there.
Right.
The screen that has the show on. It's all you got to do. That's all you have to do. So, tell us, how long have you been in practice for?
39 years.
You're just getting started.
Yeah.
You're a rookie. And you cover all of the counties?
Yes,
Broward, Palm Beach,
Dade, Martin, do work in Collier County.
Probate's tough work. Not for someone who's been doing this for 39 years, but there's a lot of research you have to do.
Correct.
When a house is sold. So tell me how you are involved with Florida Home Cash Buyers.
I'll get a call from Omer or Gabriel, and they'll ask me, we've got a house that we think we've got other people that own it, heirs. So-and-so's living there, but so-and-so says that they've got two brothers and a sister who aren't interested in the house. They don't really care. But we're interested in the house, and we need to somehow get that straightened out.
Isn't there always a family member, though, a holdout that is interested?
Yeah.
That causes more problems than you can ever imagine.
That is generally the rule rather than the exception.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long have you been buying inherited properties that go to probate?
I ran into it ever since I started practicing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was telling them on our first show that I think it's so great what these guys do because the market out there, it's so depressed. And I mean, I'm in Coral Springs and I see foreclosures all over the place. I see people that think their house is worth a lot more than it really is, and they waste all this time. And I think eventually those are the kind of people that you guys can come in and offer them cash right away. And I want you just to remember this, that you might have a family member, you might have a friend that you know is really having a hard time selling their house. We've got the company right here. And I love that you have a lawyer involved too, because you're right. When it comes to probate, it could get really messy.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the cases that you see that happens. There's people who say they don't want to be part of this, go ahead and sell, but you have that one family member that throws a wrench in it. Do you negotiate with them? I mean, do you sit down and talk with them? What do you do?
I try not to. Now, this is a matter that they weren't involved in, and I think that they're probably very lucky and glad that they weren't. But it was a Windmore condominium unit that was inherited. Mom died. Brother and sister inherited. Their game plan was to rent it until one of the two retired, and they were going to buy out the other half. Well, sister wanted the apartment, but she didn't want to pay.
How does she get away with that?
Brother finally threw up his hands and said, look, I'm going to live in Windmore. So we went and bought a unit in Windmore. So now what do we have? We've got a scenario where they've got to sell it or sister has to buy it. She digs in her heels and starts raising all sorts of problems that, well, mom had a diamond ring and a gold necklace that was never part of the probate, and you got that, and so you owe me, and back and forth. Truly
this is
a
worse
mess.
than going to court, don't you? I mean, this is even
yes.
worse.
Truly a mess. What I try to do with those situations is I try to get them in front of some disinterested third party that will try to convince them that, look, you go to court in a partition lawsuit,
It could get real expensive.
it's going to get very expensive, and you're going to have to pay 2 attorneys and all the court fees, and you've got all that time that you wasted.
So stop digging in.
Yeah.
What kind of probates are most common?
In this scenario, believe it or not, it's called a summary administration. It's a shortcut method of doing a probate, and the criteria is the entire assets that are subject to probate have to be $75,000 or less, or the person has to have been dead for more than 2 years. The 2-year limitation is because no creditor can pop up after 2 years and say, I'm owed money by the decedent. It's too late.
So there's a statute of limitations.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And the $75,000 limit isn't that bad because it's usually a fractional, amount of the house that it's worth. So you might have 5 brothers. House is worth $150,000. So you don't have the $75,000 limitation there.
Gotcha. Okay. How long does the probate process take?
The summary administration is pretty quick, although it's getting slower everywhere in the state because the clerks' budgets have been cut back and cut back and cut back. But I say you can get a summary administration done in 90 days,
Okay.
60 days.
It's not bad.
No.
Is a probate required even if there's a will?
It depends. If you've got assets, particularly real estate, whether there's a will or not a will, you're probably going to need probate. Unless it's homestead property, which is the constitutional homestead, which goes hand in hand with the homestead tax exemption. That property passes outside the claims of creditors, but you still need some type of probate proceeding to get the court to declare that it is homestead.
So when these guys come in, we talk about how fast they can buy a house. Now, if there's problems like probate problems, it is going to take longer. But that would take with anybody. You would have that problem.
Exactly.
Well, and there's some ways around it. One of the things we've been doing, and Hank, you can clarify on it, but we're actually assigning the probate to our company. So like we'll get a probate and we'll actually buy out the interest of the probate, and then that's taken care of. So we technically won't take full ownership of the property until the 60 or 90 days, but we'll already control the estate, and then we can disperse funds and all that.
Okay. What does probate cost?
It depends on the amount of the assets, but it generally starts at $400 and goes up to, I think, $960 filing fee. You've got to publish a notice, except in a summary administration. You've got to publish a notice to creditors. That's another $250 or so. And then you might have to, for recalcitrant people, you might have to then, who don't sign waivers that say, okay, I waive getting notice of this and that, they want to get the notice. So you got all that certified mail cost.
We actually got a email. It says, what determines which probate can be done, summary versus formal?
Right.
What determines that?
The $75,000 limit,
Okay.
or being more than 2 years.
2 years.
Then you can go summary. That's a fast way of getting it done. Otherwise, if you need to have an executor, a personal representative, you need to have somebody who can act on behalf of the estate because you get bank accounts to close or you got stock you got to sell or something like that, then you're forced to go formal. Formal takes generally about a year to get it done.
Are a lot of people doing these living wills now?
Yes, but the living will only, well, first you have a power of attorney, which operates only when you're alive. A living will operates when you're on your deathbed. That says, I don't want to be kept alive artificially if I'm terminal. And then your will, which takes effect only after you die.
What is it that kind of eliminates probate, though?
Years ago, people said, eliminate probate, put everything you own in a trust.
Okay.
What happened was people were doing it in order to avoid having to pay the creditors. So the law was eventually changed to say, to the extent that your estate isn't sufficient to pay those creditors, the money has to come out of the trust. So a lot of people have started not using trust for that very reason.
Well, see, I think a lot of people are uneducated when it comes to this, so I'm glad that we have you here on the show. And you said that you could still make the sale even if it's probate.
Yeah, so you can confirm it. With a formal, if there's a personal representative appointed, they can generally get an order from the judge to sell before the probate, so they don't have to wait for the year to be able to sell the asset.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
And for our attorney here, you can expedite the summary probate process.
Yes, you can. You can. You can actually walk it through, and you can explain to the judge that you need to get this done right away because you've got a house sitting there empty, or you've got a house that's in need of repair, and you need to get it sold.
We have houses in our area, and we're in Ramblewood in Coral Springs, and it's a nice area. But these houses that are in foreclosure, I mean, the banks. I guess it's the banks that are just letting them sit there, and the grass is, you can't even see the house, and
Right.
it's horrible. I mean, and it's the bank's responsibility. Is that right?
Yeah, once they own it, yeah.
Well, also what happens with the banks is they don't want to foreclose because they don't want to undertake now having to pay property taxes and the maintenance fees and the upkeep of the house, knowing that the values are slowly coming back, so the longer they can wait, the better off they are. Particularly with condominiums, that's the case.
Hey, give everybody your phone number again and your website.
Yep, the website is hwjlaw.net, and my phone number is 561-672-7264.
And your office is located.
At 7900 Glades Road, which is on the south side of Glades at the Turnpike.
I know exactly where that is. We're going to go to break, and we come back. We're going to be back here with Hank Johnson, attorney Hank Johnson, and owners Omar Reiner and Gabriel Garcia. And we're going to talk more about probate. We're going to talk about fast cash for your house. And we'll be right back.
There are many situations that today's homeowners face which require them to sell their home fast. Florida Cash Home Buyers specializes in purchasing properties from homeowners in as little as 5 days and without the need of dealing with any repairs, realtors, stress, or hassle. They have purchased many properties from people just like you and can solve many problems such as foreclosure, tax liens, damaged homes, probates, abandoned houses, and many more. Don't let your real estate worries bother you anymore. If you want to sell your house today, call Florida Cash Home Buyers right away and speak to someone about how they can best help you. They offer free, no-risk consultations. Florida Cash Home Buyers. Sell your house the easy way for fast cash. Call Florida Cash Home Buyers today. 954-906-3000. That's 954-906-3000. You can also check them out online at www.floridacashhomebuyers.com. That's www.floridacashhomebuyers.com.
And we're back. Now, I heard you just say the word disclaimer.
Yeah, in the probate context, what that is, it can be done in any kind of context. If I have a piece of property and I quitclaim deed it over to you, and you don't want it, timeshare, for instance, you can disclaim that and say, no, I'm not taking that. And it's a specific piece of paper, and it's a statute that deals with it. It says how you get rid of something that you don't want that comes your way like that. In the probate context, a lot of heirs don't want to be bothered. They don't want to own an eighth of a house when they're living up north and they've got kids and they've got...
Yeah, it's a lot of snowbirds down here.
Yeah.
So they could easily live in New York or on the East Coast somewhere.
Exactly. And so what they do is they'll say, I'll just give up my right. And that is as if you had died, the disclaimant is as if that person had died immediately before the decedent died.
Do you do the research, like if they find a house they want to buy, do you want to make sure that there's no heirs out there that might have a hand in this at all that could muddy the water later on? Or that's not what you handle?
That's not what I do, but there are companies out there that do that. And they're pretty regulated because it used to be they were kind of like sharks. They'll find an heir and say, we know where you can inherit some money, but you got to agree to give us half of it or something along those
I
lines.
actually got a letter like that.
Really?
Saying, yeah, that we have some money here for you and all you have to do is call. Seemed way too good to be true. When you buy an inherited house, do you pay for the probate?
Well,
No.
I guess it's a question for us. Well, it varies. If the sellers started a probate already with an attorney, then no. But if they didn't start, then we'll pay for the probate. Yes.
I would think that it's really beneficial for someone to have an attorney like yourself that knows this. 'Cause a lot of people try to do it themselves to save money.
Yes, and in the probate context, you need to have an attorney. You cannot do it yourself. There's only very limited circumstances where you can do it yourself. I think it's $2,500 of assets or less, and you can go down to the courthouse and, with your papers and sit down with the clerk, and they'll do it.
But you know how these people that they're getting ready to lose their house, instead of hiring a foreclosure attorney, they try to do it themselves, or loan modification. That is crazy. That is insane because there's so much. I mean, the laws change. I would think. Some law just changed that our foreclosure attorney talked about that just happened last month, and I don't actually understand because he's having to explain it to realtors now because a lot of realtors don't understand. But it's best to have someone like yourself. Don't try to do it yourself. Like you said, you really can't. You need an attorney. But you know, people are always trying to save money.
Yep. In the probate context, you have to have an attorney. In the mortgage context, either a workout or short sale, there's no requirement that you have an attorney. But if you do, or you have somebody like these guys involved, that makes the whole process go quicker, easier, and you know it's being done right.
What is the benefit working with you?
I know what I'm doing.
You can pat yourself on the back on this one, okay?
And
It's okay to be humble now.
And from
Yeah.
our experience, he's very fair on prices. We've seen sellers pay $10,000 for a probate, and Hank is just, very fair with his
What
prices.
makes probate get so expensive?
People fighting. The probate process used to be very court intensive. I mean, the judge had to rule on every single step along the way. The pendulum swung to the opposite extreme now. The court doesn't get involved unless there's a dispute, or unless you need some kind of specific order like the property's homestead. But now it's a process that has to be followed, but the court isn't involved in every step of it. You just file your documents with the court. You can go through a whole probate and never see the judge.
Wow. Because I keep hearing that probate can get very expensive.
It can, especially when you get people that are disputing every other thing.
Or when you get people that there's a file now that we have where person died, husband, and we have to do a probate for the husband, then for the daughter, then for the daughter's daughter, and there's like 4 probates just for one property.
Right.
What is some of the most common mistakes that sellers make when selling their homes in probate?
They think that they can, the instant they're appointed as the executor of the estate, the personal representative, they think that they can turn around and sell the property. Not necessarily the case. If there's a will and the will has a power of sale in it that says my executor can sell my real estate, yes, that can be done. But without that, you need to get a court order to allow it. So a lot of people jump the gun and think, well, I'll get it sold right away.
Doesn't work
It's not
that
going to
way.
happen right away. Plus, you got to get that executor appointed, and that can take anywhere from 10 days to a month.
Tell everybody again just some of the areas of law that you practice.
I do residential, commercial real estate closings, a lot of those. I used to negotiate short sales, but now I leave it up to these guys because they know what they're doing, and I'm not that good dealing with the bank and negotiating. But as far as doing the closings, yes, that's what I handle.
Okay. But do you get into estate planning or anything like that at all?
I do simple estate planning. I refer sophisticated stuff to other attorneys that I deal with. When you have a second marriage, kids from both marriages, maybe
Do you get
third
into
marriage.
guardianship at all?
I've sworn off guardianships.
Okay.
Because they last forever. They come in 2 contexts. One is you've got a minor who's inherited money by either inheritance or involved in say a car accident and they got an award. That is pretty cut and dry. Money sits in the bank or in a security or something until it's done. But then you've got adult guardianships where people are incompetent. for whatever reason, dementia or...
I'm going to tell you, since we're very well aware of this, Renee, my co-host, her daughter is autistic. And when you've taken care of someone all your life and they turn 18 and the courts come in, and it's like, wait a minute, this is my daughter. What are you trying to do? And then they don't try to take her away, but you've got to be fingerprinted and you've got to do paperwork. And that is very expensive, going through guardianship. But the state basically owns her, even though her mother's been raising her all of her life.
Yes, that's another thing that's gone from being court supervised to the court having much more hands-on. Because if you remember, years and years ago, there was a kid who was, I think, had liver failure or something, and President Reagan even wrote a check
Wow.
for the kid's foundation. Well, it turns out Mom used the money to buy a condo, a BMW, and breast enhancements. And the kid didn't get the money.
Nothing, got nothing.
And they said, wait a minute, how come there wasn't a guardianship established here? And how come this and this and this? So the laws really got tougher.
Well, I guess in some cases I could definitely understand that. We've been talking the last hour, and I want to kind of give you guys the last few minutes. We're talking about, there's a company out there, it's called Florida Cash Home Buyers, that if you're having trouble selling your house, maybe your house, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed and it's really keeping you from selling your house. We have a company right here, they're going to be with us every month, that can come in and just make you an offer as soon as they get there. That's a great, great service. The name of the company is Florida Cash Home Buyers. Their website is www.floridacashhomebuyers.com. There's a couple other companies that have a very similar name. Please make sure it's www.floridacashhomebuyers.com. They got a great website. In closing, tell people why they should use your company. Now, they're both good. Whoever's senior.
Okay. So, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of people, companies that do what we do. So, I mean...
Not how you do it, though.
Right. I mean,
But
we're
try
fair
to do
people,
it.
and, we believe we're good people. We're accredited with the Better Business Bureau.
Been in business for 5 years.
Right. And we have, a lot of testimonials from people that we worked with before that were happy with us, so they can view the testimonials on our website. Call us with any questions.
You guys are first class. I got to tell you, we've been kind of working on this for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and man, I feel so good about you guys, and that's important because I'm going to tell you something. There are some companies out there that, I mean, you just got to be careful.
Yeah.
And so whether you have a family member, a friend, or even yourself that you've got to get out from under your house. I mean, it's sad to say, but it's great that there's a company out there that can help you out where you're not going to have to wait 90 or 120 days. Give everybody your phone number.
It's 954-906-3000. That's 954-906-3000.
And again, they should hire you because we know you're good guys, okay?
We'll make the transaction very transparent, very easy, and we'll honor everything that we say.
Doesn't get much better than that. And I got to tell you, because we've been dealing for the last 3 weeks, and mostly worked with Omer. I mean, everything he said he was going to do, he did. And we've been doing these shows for a long time, and it doesn't always work that way. And when we come back next month, we're really going to put it out there to the callers. If you've got a question, we're going to have you guys call in, and any question you have, again, friend, relative, and listen, they got an attorney here who's been around for 39 years. Hank Johnson, give everybody your phone number again, Hank.
My phone number is 561-672-7264.
Do you take Groupons? Most business attorneys do not. And give everybody your website too, Hank.
Yeah, the website is hwjlaw.net.
I always go, anyone who comes on the show, I always go and check their website. You can tell a lot about a company or an attorney by looking at their website. even with an hour, this went by fast, didn't it? And you were here for 30 minutes. It goes by really fast. They're going to be back again next month. I think we're doing it on the last Thursday, 28th of the month. They will be back. And again, you can call them tomorrow. Again, the phone number is...
954-906-3000.
This was cool. First show. We got this one. It wasn't that bad, was it?
It was great.
He has to say that. Hank, hey, thanks for coming on today.
You're welcome.
You came all the way in from...
Glades and the Turnpike.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No.
We have a lot of our other attorney shows come in all the way from Hollywood because we reach that far. Thanks so much. I can't wait to do this again next month. And we'll be back next Thursday from 5 to 6 with more Ask the Experts. We have one of our family attorneys is going to be on with us, and our tax relief company is going to be on with us. Everybody have a great week. Peace and love. We're gone.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show.